Ciao, dear ones. Happy Tuesday. So, today we are going to talk about the topic of love. I figured it was a fantastic time to bring this up because we're nearing the end of January. We're nearing the beginning of February, and we all know the entire month of February is centered around love. And so, if we look at the Gospels, love is the foundation, right? It's the reason Jesus came. It was the heart of his ministry, was to model what love is, how to love each other, how to love God. And it's really the foundation of everything we do as Christ followers. So I want to take a look at John 13:34 to 35. These are Jesus's words, a new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. This idea of love wasn't a suggestion. It wasn't like, I strongly suggest you love each other. It was like a command. It was a mandate from the King of Kings, from the creator of the world. And so for any of us as people who believe and people who follow Jesus, it's our distinguishing mark. That's how people, more than anything we ever say, more than anything that comes out of our mouths, our actions and how we love should be our distinguishing mark and how people know, oh, they follow Jesus. So, as that setting the stage, the heart of the gospel, I want to take us to the book of Matthew 22, verses 37 to 39. And it's talking about the greatest commandment, right? So in verse 37, Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. Verse 38, this is the first and greatest commandment. Verse 39, and the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. There we have it. He gave us the greatest command. So I want to take some time and I want to break those down. So Jesus, in this passage, Jesus was asked a question by a religious leader and they had said, what is the greatest commandment? And so this is what Jesus was telling them. He answered actually with two. One was to love God, heart, soul, and mind. The other was to love the people next to you like you love yourself. There's a lot to break down there. So the first part, verse 37, loving God fully, heart, soul, and mind. What does that mean? So our heart is all of our emotions and all of our desires. This is the center of our affection. I want you to pause for a minute and I want you to think of all the things that get your affections and your desires. It might make your heart feel a little convicted. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. This part of this verse is really about desiring God above everything else. When we look at our lives, sometimes I wonder, is that true? Do we desire God above everything else? And this is hard because we live in a tangible world. We live in a world full of our five senses that, falling in love and loving things. It's very easy to desire things because we can touch it and taste it and feel it and smell it and see it and all the things. But the command isn't about that. The command is about God. So moving on to the second one, soul. This is our will and our spirit. So loving on a soul level is choosing to follow Jesus no matter what, no matter what's in front of us, no matter what maybe our heart desires. It's following Jesus. It's all about him. This is like that gut of the soul level. Follow Jesus. And mind is our thoughts and our intellect. Seeking him through his word and allowing our thoughts to align with his thoughts. So often our thoughts run wild. So often we go down rabbit holes. So often we think that the first thing we think is true, is appropriate, is real. That's why it says, take every thought captive for Christ. Our thoughts will lead us astray. Our hearts will lead us astray. Sometimes our souls, our will to have something or be something or do something will lead us astray. And so the first part of 37 is saying, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. It's saying, forsake the things of this world. Forsake the people that try and steal your attention. Forsake all the other things and go follow him. Heart, soul, and mind. So this loving God, what he's asking for our full commitment to him. He's asking us to show up fully, and in us showing up fully to him, he can show up fully for us in our lives. This relationship with God is more about this affection or this feeling, right? We don't always feel like following Jesus. We don't always feel like, heart, soul, mind doesn't always line up. We have to actually be in action and go against the grain and go against our feelings sometimes for this full committed love to God. The second part of this passage, love your neighbor as yourself, verse 39. What does this mean? This is really the standard for loving others. And if we love others as ourselves, the first question we have to come to terms with is, how do you love yourself? And do you love yourself? Do you care for yourself? Do you set boundaries for yourself? Do you care for this temple that God gave you, this vessel to do this life in? That's the first part that I question. If I'm going to love my neighbor as myself, how am I loving me? Is it healthy? Is it good? Is it in line with heart, soul, and mind for God? First part of it. Second part of it, the standard in real time, there's three pieces: sacrificial, practical, and forgiving. Okay, so the sacrificial love is not about our feelings. It's about laying down our life for each other. It's about sacrificing, and there's no greater picture of sacrificial love. Well, there is. It's Jesus, but the second greatest picture that most of us embark on is marriage. That's sacrificial love for another person. Two sinners just doing life together. What does that look like? The second piece, this practical love, is actually serving people in practical ways. Looking around your life and saying, who needs me today? Who needs me to show up for them today? Who needs me to love on them today? What needs can I meet? Who can I be kind to? How can I encourage someone? Who do I need to show grace to? And this last one, forgiving love. This one's hard. This isn't forgetting love. This isn't being a doormat love. This isn't any of those things. This is forgiving love. It's saying, I can forgive you because Jesus forgave me. You hurt me, and I'm forgiving you because Jesus forgave me. Love your neighbor as yourself. Think about the people in your life who need care right now. Think about the people in your life who need forgiveness right now, whether they deserve it or not, whether they apologized or not. Who can you show up for? Who can you be sacrificial for? Who can you be forgiving for? Who can you show up practically for today? So as we talk about this huge concept of love, friends, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. My dear friends, my sweet friends, I hope that this offered a little bit of encouragement to you. I hope that it offered some peace and some grace. I hope that you have the best week ever. And as always, remember, there's always something to be grateful for. Cheers.